like? Who took the bomb?
We're getting screwed, man. Every time we turn around, we're getting screwed. Oh, the revolution's going to be through podcasting for sure. That's the only way we talk. It's the little guys that take the brunt of everything. It's got to stop. Peasants, man. We're just peasants. Every one of us. You watch those old movies, you see the peasants in the background with the kings and queens walking around. We're those people. We're those people. Good morning, peasants. Welcome to another episode of The Peasant's Perspective. I kind of do look forward to saying that every single morning.
I never know how it's going to come in your mouth. Sometimes it's like, whoa.
Oh, he just went from like sitting here silently, 3 words exchange, and all of a sudden he's like, good morning, peasants.
Well, plus you used to, we've done this show like, what are we on, like 300 episodes?
We're 220.
And you get used to it, hearing it a certain way, and then all of a sudden you do a different tone or something. I'm like, whoa.
Not AI. AI.
Yes.
Pony Boy, good morning. Welcome. Yesterday was a really annoying day. 2 reasons. One of which we'll talk about in the show, but the other one was I lost power at my house, which no surprise. I mean, we're going through some kind of torrential December.
Sure. But you find out how important power is all of a sudden when it goes out.
It's unusually warm, right? It was like 57, 60 degrees yesterday.
Fortunately.
Really warm. Yeah, fortunately. And truly, fortunately. Mm-hmm. But we also started the day out with tons of rain. And then we don't flood here in Kitsap, at least nothing like what we're seeing around the state.
Yeah.
But we are subject to winds because we're this peninsula out in the middle of the ocean. Yeah. And my house actually has a water view, right? So I actually put logs on my roof. I have a metal roof. I had to put logs up on my roof to hold my roof down because I went out. We had this wind blast and the whole house. Okay. So I got out and looked, and sure enough, some of my roofing is like, done the thing where it came up.
Yeah. Lifts.
Like, let's knock all that back down.
I was going to say, this is the day where you're like, man, those codes about hurricane clips and stuff, man, it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, it is really for that once in a decade wind gust. These are overkill. It's not overkill the day the wind blows. Anyways, I had to put logs, just some firewood logs on top of the roof to hold down the corners. Like, put a little 10-pound log on each of these. That'll probably hold it down. So we also have had continued flooding in the Seattle Renton area. So this right here is a video of Highway 187. Now, I drive this road all the time, right? Geez. This is anytime I head east side, I end up jumping off I-5 and hitting here. They had to shut it down. I didn't even know this area was floodable.
Look how deep the water is over the road.
Yeah.
That's not hydroplaning.
Built up. The highway's built up. And look, it's like holding the water back. There's some kind of levee or something right here, some wall. But anyways, wild.
Wow.
This is.
Oh, jeez. Those were.
Look at that.
Oh, jeez.
That's the roof line. That's like 4 or 5 feet tall. There, the water's completely buried. Man. Just absolutely crazy. What's going on? I mean, holy smokes. I remember when we used to flip houses in this area, we would talk about it. Well, it's kind of a floodplain. It's like, when was the last time it flooded? Never. Prehistoric era. Here's another image here. Parking lot just buried. Couldn't even get their cars out. So we're having levees break all over the place. Tukwila just had their dam break or their levee break this morning. It's basically like all the cities over there are having major issues. The Green River broke its levees, so it's all over the place. Look at that tractor. Holy smokes. That's not a small tractor. When you need the tractor with the 6 foot back wheels. And then here's the tragedy too. People are just horrible. Look, looters are now using kayaks to steal from flooded properties. Snohomish County officials say looters are using kayaks to steal from flooded properties. Man, come on.
Yeah, for real.
We got our own Katrina thing going on here. I didn't expect. I don't know why I'm surprised, but not very cool at all. Anyways, so that's what's going on over here. What's going on in your world? We're going to hit a couple things before we jump into the Rob Reiner controversy because it was quite annoying. That was the other thing too. I realized by about 11 a.m. I was like, I bet you important things are going to happen today, and no one's going to catch it because everybody's out there, virtue signaling on this Rob Reiner thing. It's like, good grief. Doug Wyatt, good morning. John Atakis, good morning. Carlitos, good morning, friends. Welcome, everybody. I'm glad you guys are here. So, a couple things. Let's just jump into a few items. Obviously, Donald Trump pardoned Tina Peters, and he was asked about Tina Peters and kind of the Colorado situation in general yesterday, and this is what he had to say.
The poorly run state of Colorado with a governor who's incompetent, and frankly, with a governor that won't allow our wonderful Tina to come out of a jail, in a high-intensity jail, because she caught people cheating on an election, and they said she was cheating. She wasn't cheating. She went over, she looked at one of the election scams going on, and because she did that, they put her in jail for 9 years. The governor of Colorado is a weak and pathetic man who was run by Tren de Aragua, the criminals from Venezuela, took over sections of Colorado, and he was afraid to do anything. But he puts Tina in jail for 9 years because she caught people cheating. And when she walked over and got involved in it, they said she was cheating. She wasn't cheating. She caught people cheating on the election, 2020, along with a lot of other people that cheated on that election. You'll see that coming out more and more.
Yeah, one of the other things Trump said is we have truckloads of evidence that's coming out. And it's been confirmed by multiple outlets that Trump and the White House, they called, important people in, and they gave the election fraud briefing. The whole Patrick Byrne and Emerald Robin thing that we've been covering, basically a long time. Remember like 6 months ago when we did the your country's run by narco terrorists thing, and then all of a sudden we went from growing to flatline. I was reading a little Nietzsche last night. Really, I was, because the power was out. So I figured, why not read? And Nietzsche was describing how people don't really like the truth, because what they want is things that they call truth that make them feel comfortable. But when the real truth is ugly and, people don't want to hear it. And that's kind of why I look at this election fraud thing. It's an ugly truth to realize your country's been run by narco terrorists. We've had presidents who have been shoving cocaine up their noses. We've got dementia. You know what I mean? It's like, it's hard. We don't want to believe that. And that's kind of where we're at. We're at a spot where it's like, hey, some of this stuff, we can't continue. Can't continue this way. Right. This is Donald Trump. Another thing he did is yesterday he announced his official lawsuit against the BBC. And I think the lawsuit's $10 billion, but he's asked, $5 billion is like their baseline negotiation deal. Probably will put the BBC out of business, which is Britain. So, it'll probably Anyways, this is the clip that the BBC edited in order to make Trump look like he was calling for violence on January 6th. Now, keep in mind, I'm wrapped up in this too, right? This narrative is what they use to kind of create the consent of the governed in order to target American citizens like myself.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you, and we fight. We fight like hell. We're going to walk down.
That's not.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you, and we fight. We fight like hell.
They used that clip to initiate impeachment proceedings.
Yes.
Right now, I don't know that they ever said, here's the clip, but this is the narrative. The BBC put this out there, worldwide news, and everybody picks it up, and it's called the zeitgeist. This is just the thing that's in the air that we all feel, the zeitgeist. The zeitgeist was Trump called for people to go down to the Capitol and fight like hell, take your country back. What he really said was this.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
That's a little bit different of a message. That's the message I got, right? And so when they're like, well, the president called for violence, I'm like, I listened to the whole speech. In fact, that's part of my objection to this whole thing was I showed up in Congress had already been dismissed. Why am I being said that I'm obstructing Congress, right? That was it right there. They wanted to run with that narrative. Anyways, so he's suing the BBC. I'm sure it'll take a couple years and want to do discovery and stuff like that. And anyways, this is Trump talking about.
Because they won't.
In a little while, you'll be seeing I'm suing the BBC for putting words in my mouth, literally. They put words in my mouth. They had me saying things that I never said coming out. I guess they used AI or something. So we'll be bringing that lawsuit. A lot of people are asking, when are you bringing that lawsuit? Even the media can't believe that one. They actually put terrible words in my mouth having to do with January 6th that I didn't say. And the beautiful words that I said, right? The beautiful words, talking about patriotism and all of the good things that I said, they didn't say that, but they put terrible words. They actually have me speaking with words that I never said, and they got caught because I believe somebody at BBC said, this is so bad, it has to be reported. That's called fake news.
That's called fake news.
One more fake news.
Shantini, good morning. Welcome. Okay, so now one of the things in kind of the WWE that we're watching here of politics, right, which is way more than WWE. This is like life is on the line. Okay, this is a death match.
We laugh.
Yeah, we laugh because otherwise we would cry and it would be a very depressing show.
Yeah.
So one of the things, we're supposed to, by this Friday, we're supposed to have the full release of all the Epstein files. So I want you guys to preview what should be coming out in these Epstein files here. So this is Glenn Prager. He's a Jeffrey Epstein investigator from the Justice Department, and he's worked in government for a long time. And we'll just listen to the beginning clip here of what he was caught saying in an Arizona airport. Okay.
Protecting a lot of other people. He's not protecting himself because there's nothing there, but he's protecting a lot of people. Because Trump's now saying it's a hoax of the case, like a hoax or something. Come on, it's not a hoax. You've been on the plane, many times. It's just he was never on a plane with the kids. I've seen the itineraries and I've interviewed all the victims. There's never been an instance where Trump was on a plane with these kids. But that can't be said for him. That can't be said for others. While he's on the plane, while Bill Clinton was on the plane, there were breaks that occurred.
That's it right there. And we've known that for a while. Right? Bongino came out and said he had a Secret Service agent whistleblower who was like, dude, I asked to be taken off the detail. Right? Because they were doing that with kids on the plane.
Ugh.
So in another episode of Paint Trump with Their Sins, right? Now Trump's protecting people, right? Who's he protecting? Good question.
Yeah.
There's, in my mind,
probably people that he has leverage over.
People he has leverage over. It could be that he doesn't want to destroy the system completely, right? We're already kind of going through a crisis of a country right now because Joe Biden, the auto-pin president, the illegitimate president. That
I was talking with my wife about this actually last night because we were having this is what the Democrats are doing, and it was like I had to remind her, like, this is not a Republican Democrat issue. This is all of our congressmen are all guilty, and they're all in it, and they're all tainted, and they all have problems, and he's just trying to get the Republican Party behind him to use that as an engine to destroy the Democrats, and then he's probably gonna have to turn around and destroy some of the Republicans after he's done doing that.
Yes, which is why the Republicans are like, like we don't want, let's delay for time because maybe when the dam breaks, it'll be after the midterms. You know what I mean? And
maybe I'll escape, and
he'll let us escape all the way to 2028 because he needs our support. The reality, the ugly, ugly truth. Bill Clinton was a cokehead. Bill Clinton did felonious activities on a regular basis, up to and including allegations of murder. Okay. An illegitimate president, high crimes and misdemeanors. Bush Jr., weapons of mass destruction, Patriot Act, Obama, a false president, elected for the first time. We had the president officially elected by the fake voting machines. The first time that they meddled in an election was in the Iowa caucus in order for Barack Obama to beat out Hillary Clinton in that caucus. And that's when he got the momentum shift. Okay. Then you come up on Trump and the miraculous 2016 story where somebody went into a closet and started breaking computers that probably, set off the algorithm or delayed the algorithm enough that Trump could win, and or he just overwhelmed the system, right? They were hoping they could do that 2% margin thing, and he won by 4% or whatever it was. And then we get to Joe Biden and the 2020. The stark reality that we have been led by gangsters, thugs, and criminals since 1992 do you get a tax refund? Do you see what I'm saying here? All of that executive authority is vested in the person of the president. So Donald Trump is at once trying to get justice and accountability, while at the same time trying to preserve the system that we love and cherish and have put our life, blood, sweat, and tears and energy into, this thing called America.
While he's surrounded by jackals. Exactly. Now, you mentioned, who is he protecting? Well, people he has leverage over. Imagine Nancy Pelosi, who really spearheaded 2 separate impeachment challenges against Donald Trump that were completely fabricated, 1009.7% based in hoax. She was interviewed and had to say this about Trump this term, where Trump is taking the gloves off and is actually doing anything. She's like, I don't think there's anything to impeach Trump.
Just to make sure I understand you, this should not be the agenda of Democrats for this last 2 years.
If he crosses the border again, but that's not an incidental thing. You say, we're going to do that. No, there has to be cause. There has to be reason. We had review. This was a very serious, historic thing. And our founders knew that there could be a rogue president, and that's why they put impeachment in the Constitution. They didn't know there'd be a rogue president at the same time, a rogue Senate that didn't have the courage to do the right thing. It's bipartisan in the Senate, but it wasn't enough.
Just to make sure
Maybe I was wrong about Nancy Pelosi. I mean, this makes it seem so much more serious when they actually tried to impeach him. What the heck? She's saying
You led 2 hoax impeachment scandals against Donald Trump. And now you're like, we shouldn't run on it. He hasn't really done anything.
this is really serious.
Seriously, it doesn't rise to the level of impeachment. Does he got a stranglehold on you? Or are you just seeing the writing on the wall? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, what is going on?
So now we're going to get onto this Rob Reiner thing, because of course this just I hate it when my little bar shows up on
your computer knows you don't want to watch it.
So this is the Rob Reiner controversy. Let's go ahead and read this. Now, Rob Reiner tragically was killed in his home, allegedly by his son. Okay,
Right.
It's very, very sad. I want this to go away. How do let me do something here. Don't show this.
I'm off.
I just want my dock to get off that screen.
Let me see here.
Okay. Well, okay. Here's Rob Reiner.
All right.
No, I want this. I want it to go away. I do want it to go away.
Well, hold on. Bang.
Do it.
Let's see if I can do this. Still haven't tried 1775 coffee? Now's your shot. The 1775 starter kit just dropped, only 1,000 units. You're getting the bold dark roast that hits hard, the smooth medium roast, and the Vitality mushroom coffee for clean energy and laser focus. No crash. All single origin, small batch, toxin free and mold free. Plus, you're also getting a gold spoon clip. A gold spoon clip, because freedom isn't scooped with plastic. A frother strong enough to stir up your coffee and your mother-in-law's opinions, and a black 1775 tumbler, $170 worth of coffee and gear, yours for $99. This is the ones who's been watching 1775 blow up on Rumble and wondering if it's actually worth it. Spoiler, it is. Go to 1775coffee.com/studio and grab your starter kit before they're gone. Bold beans, clean fuel, and a morning routine that stands for something just like Rumble does.
Nice. You know, we've read that ad so much. You're starting to get that
getting
real
good.
smooth, like, like bold.
Eventually, I'll just have it memorized.
Yeah, pretty soon you'll have it memorized. Marizel, so son, we're in Cabo. Hey, we have an international podcast today, crossing international borders. Okay, so Rob Reiner was murdered, and the next morning Donald Trump posted this, and this caused, oh my goodness, it just clogged. It was like Twitter X almost became unbearable. I've just seen this post over and over again. A very sad thing happened last night in Hollywood. Rob Reiner, a tortured and struggling but once very talented movie director and comedy star, has passed away together with his wife, Michelle, reportedly due to the anger he caused to others through his massive, unyielding, and incurable affliction with a mind-crippling disease known as Trump derangement syndrome, sometimes referred to as TDS. He was known to have driven people crazy by his raging obsession of President Donald J. Trump, with his obvious paranoia reaching new heights as the Trump administration surpassed all goals and expectations of greatness. And with the golden age of America upon us, perhaps like never before. May Rob and Michelle rest in peace.
Oh, dang. That is pretty harsh. That's the first time I've heard it.
Fair enough. Now, had he changed these two words right here, due to the, if he would have just said, instead of due to the anger, if he would have just said he had anger, or he caused anger or something like that, right? If it wasn't due to, so this whole thing makes it look like he was murdered because he had TDS.
Right.
Does that make sense? So it does. Now, I'm not saying I like this,
No.
right? But at the same time, as the day went on, I was like, I don't care about this anymore.
No.
Okay? It doesn't even actually make the top 10 list of most offensive things Trump has said or done, right?
Yeah, I was actually hoping that we wouldn't even talk about this ever again.
We can't not talk about it, right? We can't not talk about it. So let's jump to Trump, because he posted it, and oh my goodness, right? Everybody and their dog wanted to virtue signal and act like, you can't do that. I have we'll get there in a sec. Okay, so this is Trump. He's asked about it. Do you want to take it back? A lot of Republicans are upset you've said it.
Mr. President, a number of Republicans have denounced your statement on Truth Social after the murder of Rob Reiner. Do you stand by that post?
Well, I wasn't a fan of his at all. He was a deranged person as far as Trump is concerned. He said he knew it was false. In fact, it's the exact opposite, that I was a friend of Russia, controlled by Russia. It was the Russia hoax. He was one of the people behind it. I think he hurt himself.
Did you hear that? He was one of the people behind it. Let's get back to that.
And career-wise, he became like a deranged person, Trump derangement syndrome. So I was not a fan of Rob Reiner at all, in any way, shape, or form. I thought he was very bad for our country. Yeah.
Mr. President. Mr. President, a number of
He
Republicans.
thought it was very bad for his country. Now, he said that, right? And he was behind it. And it's like, what do you mean he was behind it? Is he a movie director?
Can we just play that part again? Maybe I missed it.
Oh, I just closed it. We can't go back. Sorry.
So what did he say he was behind?
He's saying he's behind it. So this was
Behind
Mike
what?
Pence. Huh?
Behind what?
Russiagate.
Oh.
Yeah, he was a part of it. So the CIA 3, this is from Mike Benz, and he posted this quite a while ago. Okay, so the December 21st, 2022, he posts this. It's not a typo. 7 living CIA directors: Michael Hayden, James Woolsey, Leon Panetta, David Petraeus, Michael Morrell, William Webster, and Robert Gates on the board of the group deputized by DHS to censor your opinions about mail-in ballots during the election cycle. And then it ties into this group here. So this is Committee to Investigate Russia. Actor and producer Rob Reiner has served as the organization's director.
Whoa.
The full list of advisory board members remains publicly available at the committee's website. Advisory board: Max Boot, heard that name before, military historian and foreign policy analyst; James Clapper, former National Director of Intelligence; Evelyn Farkas, PhD, former Director of Secretary of Defense for U.S., Ukraine, Eurasia; General Michael Hayden, former Director of the Central Intelligence Agency and the National Security Agency; Michael Morrell, former Actor Director of the CIA; Leon Panetta; and Rob Reiner, Director, Actor, and Activist.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah. So then it goes here. However, the Atlantic Council, this is Atlantic Council, which, if anybody who's familiar with that, they're, another one of these cabal groups, represents a powerful faction of U.S. foreign policy establishment in the diplomacy, defense, and intelligence spheres. It has 7 former CIA directors currently serving on its board, the same ones I just named, and Rob Reiner sat on it with them. Zelensky's Burisma Council signed cooperative agreement, tying the whole thing into the Russiagate scandal. So Rob Reiner's actually in the thick of it here.
Wow.
Yeah, totally unknown by us. He also was the one, for anybody who's a QAnon person, right when Trump was thrown out of office in 2020, January 2021, the Biden administration started using Black Castle Rock Studios or something like that. And that's where Biden was doing his little phony press conferences. That was like the fake press room thing that they did, where they built a studio and they didn't let Americans know they weren't really doing.
Oh, the fake Oval Office.
Yeah. Rob Reiner started that. That was his thing. So he's absolutely in the thick of it.
Wow.
Okay. Which again makes you go, huh. Here's another thing about Rob Reiner. Okay. Now this is Al Franken. Do you remember who Al Franken is?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Al Franken, comedian turned senator. Now I have to admit, when I was in my 20s in college, my dad always used to say, and this was this way growing up, if you're going to read a book on one, with one opinion, you have to read the other. Thank you, Dad, for screwing up my brain. I could have just been a normal person, played on one team, but instead I had to, mold my brain to be able to see one topic from both
Two
sides.
paradigms.
Yes. And that was really good. My dad at the time he was saying that was because, I was in college and he's like, I don't want to be a lefty, so you got to read these right-wing books. So he would send me books from like Bill O'Reilly and Glenn Beck, and I'd be like, great. And then I'd go out and buy a book by Al Franken. Okay? And I would read them side by side.
Sure.
Al Franken was better at what he does than Bill O'Reilly. Bill O'Reilly or Sean Hannity. He was well cited in his books, kind of funny, and wasn't wrong on his analysis of the war in Iraq and stuff like that. Okay. So I had a little bit of respect for Al Franken in the regard that he at least articulated his political viewpoints in books. Right. Now, turns out as I grew up, he's an idiot. But this is Al Franken doing a roast of Rob Reiner. Now, you know how this stuff goes.
Sure.
Right? A little element of truth in every little thing, and it makes it kind of funny. And you know what I'm saying?
Well, some of it's a little funny because it gets a little close to the bone.
A little close to the bone.
Rob was routinely beaten by his father, Carl. On a typical night, Carl would slip into Rob's bed, roll him over, swab him down, and say something like, I'm thinking about hiring Maury Amsterdam to play Buddy Sorrell. What do you think? Well, the success of the Dick Van Dyke Show changed things dramatically. Carl started inviting many of his famous friends to son. Rob was
Just referring to Rob. So apparently his dad had something to do with the Dick Van Dyke Show. And there's Al Franken just, joking at a comedy roast about child rape.
It was so funny. Ha 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 ha.
Ha 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 ha. Yeah. So it starts to make you kind of question, like, what's the deal here, right? Well, let's get into it. So here's Rob Reiner and his son. Now, his son has dealt with serious drug addiction since he was a teenager. He was homeless as a teenager, real tragic. And so turns out it was his son that did the killing, allegedly.
Rob Reiner and his wife Michelle are dead. It's unbelievable. Happened in Brentwood in a really nice community here in Los Angeles. Saturday night, TMZ reported a loud argument between Rob and his troubled son, Nick, at Conan O'Brien's Christmas party. The LAFD were called to the home on Chadbourne Street at 3:30 on Sunday. They arrived to find two slain bodies. I got this from a friend who lives in the community. I heard that the son, Nick, went into his parents' house, stabbed both mom and dad, and that the daughter, I guess, lives on the property or at the house or in the back house, and that she found them, and that the mom was still alive, and apparently she called the ambulance and went in the ambulance with her mother. Michelle died in the ambulance, but had enough time to tell her daughter that it was Nick, their son, who stabbed them, and that's why they figured it out so quickly, and he's in custody.
Oh, jeez.
So he's got a $4 million bond. Unlikely anybody's going to come to his, bail on that one. But given just, connect your own dots there. Connect your own dots on generational trauma, passing it on, kids that are drug addicted. Why are they drug addicted? You can connect dots, right? This is not a healthy family. Despite his great TV shows and despite his great documentary, or not documentary, although he was producing a documentary about Trump and Russia, but despite his, his talent in Hollywood, he lived a depraved, very messed up life. And he was, in fact, a part of the entire narrative, right? Because they brought in the movie director to direct the show, the Truman Show that we've all been living through. It really makes you just go, maybe Trump is not that off his rocker here, right? He drove people crazy. Allegedly, the night before he was murdered at Conan O'Brien's Christmas party, Rob and his son got into a very heated, loud, boisterous argument. And then the next day that happened. So really sad. Now, this feels a little crass. I don't like what Trump did. It would have been nice if he just said nothing at all or just said RIP, whatever. But instead, kind of turned MAGA on its head and everybody's trying to make statements and we don't want to be the thing we hate, right? They danced on Charlie Kirk's grave. And so we feel like we can't dance on other people's grave. And I'm like, well, that might be true for me, but Trump can do whatever he wants. Because you got to remember, if Rob Reiner is associated with all of that, Rob Reiner directly contributed to the bullet that flew past Trump's head. Period.
And not just the bullet, all kinds of
everything. Lawfare, trying to lock him up, the squat and cough when he got booked, everything.
Yeah.
So
and if you look at it in that perspective from those eyes, it's kind of very minor what he did.
That's why I said it doesn't even make the top 10 most offensive things he's done. Charlie Kirk never came out and openly went, Tyler Robinson's up, it just... Charlie spoke his mind, spoke his truth, openly debated, and then that happened. Now,
it would have been as if somebody wanted to complain about Charlie Kirk complaining in a text about the guy that killed him.
Yeah. Now, Rob Reiner, when Charlie Kirk was murdered, did get on Piers Morgan and was like, hey, I don't want this political violence. It's not good. That kind of thing, right? Oh, great. Well, let's rewind the tape a little bit to when Rush Limbaugh died, right? Rob Reiner came out and danced all over Rush Limbaugh's grave. So to me, it's like, I don't even care, right? But it sucked up so much of the news feed yesterday. I was like, oh my goodness. I mean, dude, they could pass any law they wanted right now in the legislature. The media will not be there to cover it because they're all on X, trying to gotcha to some conservatives. This is my take. Okay. This is my take. I share it with this guy.
So after Donald Trump's recent post about Rob, aka Meathead, I love it. The left is waking up to the fact that MAGA is no longer interested in taking high ground. As Napoleon Bonaparte once said, high ground is only useful for artillery. You see, due to prolonged leftist violence, censorship, and their insatiable love for political unaliving, as with Mr. Kirk, MAGA has no regard to leftist grievances. Our condolences for them are absent. This is cause and effect. And the left is waking up to that. Again, dear boy, taking high ground is only useful for artillery.
And I think that's where we're at. This is a zero-sum game. Somebody has to lose. Somebody has to win. And the people who hold their punches are going to lose. The Democrats have not held their punches. They've been willing to steal your vote. They've been willing to put your family members, for some of the people listening, in jail. Right? They've been willing to take shots at political figures. They've been willing to plant evidence. Look at Cheryl Atkinson, right? Planting child pornography on her husband's computer. Fact. Right? In order to stop her reporting on Fast and Furious. Why? Because they were about to open the border and they wanted to arm the cartels a little bit more sufficiently. Okay. This is what we're up against. So Greg Gutfeld on his show, Gerald Ford, typical, wow, this is horrible that Trump did this. Gerald, you're on the wrong side of every freaking argument. And Greg Gutfeld basically countered him and said, listen, words don't matter, deeds do.
Yep, so sad. If Joe Biden had said this about anybody, I would have attacked him and said he was completely wrong. I do hope the president comes back and corrects himself.
Joe Biden said nasty things about me. Remember the red speech? Do you remember calling Trump supporters garbage? I mean, who cares?
He was asked to, and he didn't. And I think the thing is, you don't have to like the things that he says all the time. It is why in my filter, Trump is always words versus deeds. I don't have to like what he says. In fact, I can hate what he says, but I can also think in his brain, he's going, this guy compared me to Hitler. He put a target on my back. I don't like him. It's like, well, if it were me, I'd go like, but I'm sorry he's dead. But he can't let that go. We don't have to like it. I just look at the deeds, but I get why you're upset.
It's wrong. I don't disagree with you, but it's wrong. And we should be able to call out right and wrong. We've talked about it on the show this earlier. That's wrong what he did.
Okay. See this man right here? This is a man right here who denied the border was open because Biden said it wasn't open. So do we care about the words or do we care about the deeds? The deed was the open border. The words were, it's not an open border. Yesterday, Hakeem Jeffries, not $1 of Medicaid money goes to illegal immigrants. Your words don't match reality. It's the Truman Show. Bring in the producer, bring in the director. Maybe we can get the zeitgeist to just think that an open border is closed, that up is down and left is right.
Or whatever we say.
Right? But again, virtue signaling, and of course, panicing's on the right, and pollsters, oh my gosh, Trump's going to lose 10 points because of this. No, they won't. No, they won't. No one's going to care in a couple days at all. Right?
I didn't care immediately.
Yeah, you didn't care immediately. I was more annoyed by it. You know, I actually put out a post like, this is kind of gross, not my thing. But then by the end of the day, I'm like, do it again, Trump, do it again. You know,
I watched so little news. It didn't annoy me.
Oh, man. Okay. It was also really frustrating because I had no power and I have no cell signal in my house. So
like, it was the last image.
Oh, my God. Well, every time I would get close to the window or something and my news feed would update, of course, this is all the high click engagement. So I'd have to scroll through 97 of these posts before I could find anything that wasn't about Rob Reiner. Oh my goodness. Okay. So on to another topic. We had the shooting at Brown University the other day. This is wild. So they took a suspect into custody, followed his phone. He drove from Wisconsin.
You're going to have to tell me the story because I know nothing about this really.
Well,
I don't even know where Brown University is. It's on the East Coast, right?
Rhode Island. It's one of I think it's the most expensive school in the country. It has a student body that is like 99% left. There's literally a handful of conservatives or Christians that openly attend this school.
Okay.
And that handful of people happen to be gathered together to kind of celebrate the first day of Hanukkah and the holiday festivities. And it was also a little bit of I don't know if it was a political event, but the few students that were involved in like campus Republicans were there. And ultimately what happened is 2 are dead, 9 were injured in the shooting.
So they were targeted.
They were targeted.
Okay.
Yes. Now, speaking of targeting, we'll get to that in a moment. So the shooter yelled something when he shot. Now, presumably, we all assume it's Allah Akbar. But now, and it would have made sense with the guy they arrested from Wisconsin, because yes, he was a Muslim, right?
Okay.
But now we don't know who it is. They've released that guy. So despite the fact that he drove with guns, could have just been he drove with guns. He's former military. He just brought his guns with him to college. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I would do the same thing. You know,
that would have been me.
In a U-Haul, I'm probably going to have my arsenal in the back. You know what I mean? But I also have my couch. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, what do you want with me? You know
my laundry.
Yeah. So, so he got away. Now there's allegedly like 800 cameras, but the only images they've released, you know, for us to help find the shooter are literally just a guy in all black, like no face shots. No
so they don't want him to be found.
It's bewildering. It's bewildering. So this is the Fox News commentary on it.
I mean, they got the guy's height, they got his weight, and they go, you want to update the country on what this guy's ID looks like? And they go, we'll put it on the website. Right. You have millions of people watching the press conference live, and you don't want to tell anybody? You say, I'll put it out on a website? Come on. Is the guy 220? Is he Caucasian? What? They didn't even do it. And then they get the timeline wrong, like Dana said.
Hey, we're looking for tips on someone that wears black. Please flood our inbox with tips. Does any $50,000 reward? Who is this? Well, I'm going to see.
I saw some guys wearing black.
I'd like to send a tip to all males in Rhode Island. Please investigate. Right.
So he's totally right. This guy's totally right.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear a word he said. Everyone's trying to back off. No one knows what's going on. It's 3 days later, after a gunman walked into an Ivy League university building and murdered the vice president of the college Republicans, killed 2 people, injured 11, and walks away. We don't know where he is. We don't know what he is, and doesn't seem to be that concerning to the people that were delivering that press conference. This was a premeditated target attack. The guy was casing the facility beforehand. They have 800 cameras at this university. They didn't have a camera at the entrance to the building so you can see who goes in and out of the building. This is stupid. I feel bad for the people of Providence. I feel terrible for the people of Brown University. And they have to get this together. It was 20 minutes after the shooting took place that they even sent out an alert to the student body. They never even had any sirens going off on campus. They didn't even do it. They blew it. And then they got the wrong guy and said, oops, okay, well, never mind. And then they say, trust us, the place is safe. Well, I'm sorry. No one trusts you guys. It's a mess up there. And I really hope they get this guy soon, because every day that goes by, you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
mean, they got
So,
the guys.
kids are still just walking around campus with a guy who just maliciously went in and shot the Republican Party on campus. Right now, this is Mark Halperin on the morning meeting, and he got a tip.
Are telling me that the family of I just need to look up her name.
Ella Cook, I think.
Thank you.
Mark.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. That the family of Ella Cook, the Alabama young woman who was a sophomore, has been told that she was the target of what happened at Brown. I have no idea whether that's true. There's other theories about why the person did what they did, but now that we don't know who the assailant is, it's going to be harder to say. But if it's true that she was targeted, that's a big story because she was one of the most visible conservatives on that campus. Don't know that it's true, but probably most of you don't even know that that's being alleged because you'd have to follow certain accounts on X or have sources, as I do, who are telling me that. So, Amber, if she was targeted, and again, we don't know that, but if she were targeted, what would the implications of that be?
Well, I'll start with a couple of things that I think lend credence to that theory, which is one, typically when we see mass school shooters, they don't just stop and walk away, right? Usually they keep going until they're apprehended by police, shot dead, or they kill themselves.
Yeah, Amber,
in this case,
let me just stop you.
Yep.
I should have been clear. She was the number 2 person at the Young Republicans branch on Brown's campus. So that's why some people are concerned if she were targeted. Go ahead, Amber. I apologize.
Right. Well, and the other thing is, if the police are telling Brown students that they are safe, they don't have to shelter in place anymore, but they don't have a suspect in custody, I think that also suggests that this was some kind of targeted attack. Sadly, I wouldn't be surprised. When I was on campus at Georgetown, I was chair of the college Republicans. I had to report multiple threats against me in my final 2 years on campus.
All right. I got a little bit of a hot take on this.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to say that if you're not willing to help people identify this guy, this is a hired assassin. He's an assassin.
Yeah. Yeah. And, in our current zeitgeist, if he'd have said Allah Akbar, we probably would have heard that. And they did arrest a Muslim who traveled. And so it connected. But now they're like, oh, it wasn't that guy. I'm sure they just interviewed him and he had great alibis and he had a, whatever. And he's
right.
Like, oh, right. Probably destroyed his life. He's probably going to have to sue whoever leaked his name to the press. Okay. But now it's like, oh, this is some entity on right violence. If it was targeted against her, why? Is this an ex-boyfriend, or is this someone who walked into the room on campus where all the conservatives would be gathered at that time? You know what I mean?
This is definitely trying to send a message.
And given that Providence, and
this is just like a Charlie Kirk killing.
Yeah, and given that Providence, and given that the school is so left, the fact that they don't want to say someone came on their campus and potentially targeted the conservatives
tells me they know who it is.
Or the motive. They know what he yelled out, right? Charlie 2.0, I don't know, who knows? But the fact that they won't tell us what he yelled out is like, okay. Now you're leaving a lot of speculation because half the world speculates it's another Islamic attack, and the other half of the world is now going to speculate that this is...
Well, if you want to go full conspiracy, a lot of people would just say, well, they just want you to think what you want, but it doesn't matter as long as it foments anger enough to kick something off.
Yep. So again, I don't know the answer. I hate these stories with every fiber of my being, but it's part of the calculus that we have to do as we kind of are analyzing the world around us. You know what I mean? We've got a real breakdown in law and order, and we have a real breakdown in people just being, and here's the thing. I know this is like a phrase the leftists being empathetic, right? We're not being very empathetic. Right. We're not understanding that, like, we might disagree on tax policy. We might disagree on a whole host of things. But at the end of the day, you're a human being. I'm a human being. We have to agree to disagree and live our own lives. That was supposed to be the beauty of America, is we can agree to disagree and still be neighbors. Just build a taller fence. Okay. But the violence, that is the natural outflow of people not being able to resolve their differences with words and ballot boxes. I want to make this point. when you can't resolve your differences with words, you go to the ballot box. And then when you can't resolve it at the ballot box because your elections are being stolen and the people who have won the argument and who have the actual majority of the country behind them can't implement policy or change anything, it's going to result in this on both sides. It's the natural consequence and outflow, which makes you wonder when these countries like Venezuela, Russia, Iran, China, and they play the long game, if that's not the whole point. Let's get these guys to be at each other's throats. A weak America, a divided America, is America that cannot police its borders and cannot police the world financial system, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So let's move on from that.
Can't make your own bed.
You can't make your own bed. Yep. So let's move on from that. Just the news reported yesterday, FBI to give Congress bombshell memos warning the Biden DOJ didn't have probable cause to raid Trump home.
Surprise.
Surprise. In another episode of Conspiracy Theorists Batting 1,000, Attorney General Pam Bondi and Director Kash Patel are preparing to turn over to Congress bombshell emails showing the FBI warned that the Biden Justice Department did not have probable cause to raid Donald Trump's home at Mar-a-Lago, but the prosecutors proceeded anyways. The emails are to be turned over as early as Tuesday to the Senate House Judiciary Committee ahead of a planned deposition from ex-special prosecutor Jack Smith. So, brilliant. Let's send the stuff that they need to prepare one day before the guy shows up. Now, he was scheduled to come previously, so assuming he had come previously and testified, he wouldn't have been able to address this. But now they're going to at least be able to ask him, assuming our representatives that are going to be in that committee hearing, which is going to be behind closed doors, assuming they actually prep for the meeting, right? Which more and more, where it's like, I don't know if these guys prep. Okay. The memos show that the FBI's field office does not, quote, does not believe they established probable cause, end quote, prior to raiding Trump's Florida home, according to one source with direct knowledge of the memos. It has long been rumored that some FBI agents disagreed with the decision to raid Trump's home and to look for classified documents at the request of the National Archives.
What?
Yeah, this is, again, how deep does the corruption go? The National Archives like, we need our classified documents back. They're not yours, man. The raid became a flashpoint in the battle between Biden and Trump ahead of the 2024 election. The Committee on the Judiciary is continuing to conduct oversight of the operations of the Office of Special Counsel, wrote Jim Jordan. Due to your service as special counsel, the committee believes that you possess information that is vital to its oversight. So he's supposed to testify tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. But, another thing, FBI covering up. What's fascinating to me there is the chain of command. So right now with Trump, he has certain departments that just will not do what he asks them to do. But yet here you had the Biden DOJ where the FBI goes, hey, we don't have probable cause. It's like, that's okay, do it anyways. There are no cops. The cops that are supposed to be in charge of following the law and arresting lawbreakers and conspirators are working for the guy. Right? There are no laws, there are only cops.
Or did they just do it on their own?
It's really great to say that you have to have probable cause to raid someone's house. That's a great law. But if you don't follow it, then all you really have is power. You just have who's willing to do it. Right. And clearly the Biden administration was willing to do it. It kind of does make you wonder why, right? Why? So here is John Solomon again. That last article is from Just the News. Here's John Solomon again. Apparently the FBI has been covering up for political leaders for a while. No surprise there.
Look, this is reminiscent of exactly what they did with Hunter Biden and with Joe Biden when they were being investigated. I read the depositions where you had inside government officials who were whistleblowers who came to the table and he said, this is happening now. We were told we could not further investigate. We couldn't ask certain questions. We weren't able to get information that we needed. Documents, investigations were told to stop. We were taken off of cases. This is prevalent in the FBI.
So basically what she's saying, and it's both the Clinton investigations and the Hunter Biden laptop investigations, whistleblowers were coming out being like, hey, we have a there. Hey, we actually have probable cause right here. And they're like, no, don't investigate it. Leave it alone. And then over here, they're like, hey, we don't have probable cause. They're like, guns a-blazing, deadly force.
Yeah, full steam ahead.
Full steam ahead. Okay. Kash Patel really campaigned for Trump as a surrogate, saying that he was going to turn the FBI into a mausoleum to the weaponization of government and the deep state. He wrote a book called Government Gangsters. And here he is in government. And I got to tell you, man, I don't know that he has control of the gang. right? I think James Comey and John Brennan and those guys left some gangsters behind. You know what I mean?
Have this deep interstate that is protecting folks like Clinton's, folks like the Bidens. And I think what you're seeing under the Trump administration is they're saying enough is enough. We're going to expose it. So, thanks be to Kash Patel, to Pam Bondi for looking at it, and for what Jim Jordan and James Comey continue to do by asking these questions, and for my own chairman, Jason Smith, who's going after and asking these questions. We need to have more whistleblowers that feel safe, that they can come out and tell us exactly what's happening within this deep state. But let's not ignore that it's happening. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. You're going to see more and more of these horrible examples of corruption come out as we investigate it further.
I love seeing
This is
examples of
reminiscent of
corruption. What I would like to see is some examples of accountability. It's really getting annoying. Right. I mean, it's good for the podcast. It's good for business. It's good for daily content, expose. But I'm kind of tired of it. I really would like to see some examples of accountability. I'd like to see what that looks like.
Yeah, it'd be really nice if we could just wrap the show up.
Yeah. Right? Look, we're done. America,
no more corruption.
This is super frustrating for me because in my particular case with January 6th, I didn't argue the case, right? I didn't argue the facts. I didn't argue, oh, you led the mob. I didn't lead nothing. Oh, you obstructed Congress. I showed up 30 minutes late. You know what I mean? Like the whole thing was ridiculous. And I just said, okay, I'll take it. Yep, I'll be accountable. I even said that, Judge, I'm an accountable man, right? If I committed a crime, I'll do the time. I expected to pay a $50 ticket. So I accepted my licks. I accepted my punishment, even though I didn't feel like it was fair. Sure, I complained. I wrote some essays. I did what I was entitled to do in my own defense to the public and my friends and family, right? But I took my licks. So I'd like to see some other people take some licks. I'd like to see them actually be held accountable for this stuff. I hope it's coming, but the clock is ticking. We have 24 days until the statute of limitations runs up on any crimes related to J6. It's over after that. And then we no longer will have examples of accountability. We will just have some disclosure about how they fucked my life up.
Yeah.
That's all we'll have. Sorry, Dad. I know you tune out when I say the F word. Okay. But that's all you're going to end up with, right? These people are so corrupt. The District of Columbia specifically, while I'm rotting in a prison for a non-crime, guess what they were doing?
Led House Oversight Committee now releasing a report accusing the outgoing D.C. police chief of manipulating data to artificially lower crime statistics. Bill Malusian, looking at the numbers, he's live on.
That's all they did. They manipulated data to say, we have white supremacist crimes all over the country. It's the largest segment of crimes. Yeah, because you got 2,000 open cases on January 6ers. And you're categorizing us as like white supremacist criminals. Which is probably one of the reasons why, by the way, why they didn't arrest the pipe bomber, who may or may not be the pipe bomber, but he was black, right? Manipulating crime statistics of actual criminals.
Hill with this. Bill, what you find out?
Bill, good morning to you. Those House Oversight Committee Republicans say the bottom line of what their investigation found is that the outgoing D.C. police chief was essentially cooking the books on crime data and trying to make the city seem a whole lot safer than it really was. Now, those House Republicans say what their investigation consisted of was interviewing all 7 commanders of D.C. Metro Police's patrol districts, including a former commander who's currently suspended for allegedly tampering with crime stats in his own district. And these are some of the conclusions they've made in their report. They allege that D.C. Metro Police Chief Pamela Smith pressured commanders to report lower crime stats by any means necessary. The commanders testified that Chief Smith even pushed them to pursue lesser charges that aren't publicly reported, even for serious crimes, and she required certain crimes to be reviewed by her office.
Meanwhile, in the building next door, they're pushing them to increase the crimes and overcharge January 6 defendants. In the same courtrooms where they would be prosecuting real criminals in D.C., they were making room on the docket for me.
Now, the report also says police commanders testified that Chief Smith punished them and retaliated against them if they tried to report accurate rising crime data, even berating them in meetings and individually to pressure them into reporting those lower crime figures. Now, in a statement on the report, House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer says in part, quote, Chief Pamela Smith coerced staff to report artificially low crime data and cultivated a culture of fear to achieve her agenda.
Do you remember when Biden would give his speeches and they would say things like, we'd be like, hey, I think crime's up in town. I think it's getting pretty violent out there. No, violent crime is down. I mean, we're hardly seeing any. I mean, this is the lowest murder rate we've ever seen. Yeah, because you're not charging murder. You're charging people with assault instead of murder.
That's the same outfit that would say is a mostly peaceful protest while,
I know.
while the buildings are on fire.
It was a mostly peaceful protest. Yeah, exactly. That's so true. Okay, so the other thing that Donald Trump did yesterday, and this is a really big deal, in the White House, while everybody was out barking about Rob Reiner, the dirtbag who was murdered by his son, okay, while everybody was whining about that, Donald Trump marched into the White House a whole wall of top military brass. And then he made this declaration.
Today, I'm taking one more step to protect Americans from the scourge of deadly fentanyl flooding into our country. With this historic executive order I will sign today for formally classifying fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction. This is what it is. No bomb does what this is doing. 200 to 300,000 people die every year that we know of. So we're formally classifying fentanyl as a weapon of mass destruction. Today,
that changes the game big time. Now, of course, million Republicans like Massey and Rand Paul are like, you can't just reclassify drugs as weapons of mass destruction. That's not fair. Hey, listen, man, 200 to 300,000 people dying. That's a weapon of mass destruction.
Oh, yeah.
Whatever laws you have that don't define it as that, while we were out giving our blood and sacrifice, and my friends were losing legs and lives overseas looking for yellow cake.
Yeah.
They should have been looking for fentanyl next door.
If freaking M&M's killed that many people, that company would be shut down
They'd
tomorrow.
take them off the shelf.
And they'd be thrown in jail.
Yeah. Fentanyl is second only to the mRNA vaccine. Oh, man. So that's coming down the pipe. It's probably need another 10 years for that really to mature. But I imagine that,
that is a really unfortunate stat.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah, fentanyl is only second fiddle to the mRNA vaccine as far as mass death that it causes, right? So
Can
this
I get a Fauci thrown in jail? Jeez.
So this is really important because this war against fentanyl, it affects all of us. Like, Ron, I know that it's probably I don't know how close you get, but you lost a brother to fentanyl.
Yes.
Right? We've all lost somebody to fentanyl. I remember one time I was sitting in Philadelphia detention center back when I was in prison. And when I showed up there, it's all blacks, all Mexicans, and there's like 6 white guys. So we show up and, white guy has to come down. Who are you? What are your charges? Why are you here? Because they got to decide if they need to beat me up or not. And I'm like, I'm a January 6er. They're like, oh, okay, cool. No, we know about that. So, anyways, but the guy that was the shot caller, sometimes it's just like this.
The funny things that come out of your mouth.
It's a very. I had to go talk to the shot caller in prison, and I was talking to the shot caller. Now he was a fentanyl dealer, right? And he would just buy it. Literally, he would buy fentanyl online. He'd go to a website and he'd put in his Visa card, and he would buy fentanyl, and they would send it in the mail, and it would show up at his house in a package, and he would take it out, and then he would put it into pills. He had a pill press, and he distributed a lot of fentanyl.
And you found out that it was really cheap to buy and really profitable.
Yes. And he himself was an addict as well, right?
Okay.
And so anyways, when he came into prison, he was all skin and bones, and he'd put on some weight because he'd been there almost a year, sober. And he was actually one of those guys, he's like, listen, I'm a different person sober. He's like, I needed this. I'm going to go to prison for 15, 20 years. What I did was wrong. Like, he was very, repentant about it. Like, he'd gotten clear-minded in prison. It's unfortunate that he got in that position. But fentanyl was just like no big deal. And one time, and we were talking, because he grew up literally like we were in the high school. The prison was in his high school. Like, he's like, this is my neighborhood. This is it, right?
I can almost smell my mom's cooking.
Yeah, he's like, the federal prison was actually the federal detention center is closer to my house than the jail that I would have than the county jail. So he's like, in his graduating class in high school in downtown Philadelphia, he was like, graduating class of 900 people or whatever. He's like, I stopped attending funerals when I was about 25 or 26, and I'd attended like 35.
Ugh.
And he's like, and those were just the friends I had. He says, I think my graduating classes already had like 200 people die.
Oh, wow.
From fentanyl. I mean, we're talking generational devastation. These are war statistics. This is no different than you look at like the death toll of youth in Paris during World War II or World War I. It's taking an entire generation of kids.
It's taking the future generations too.
Yes.
In terms of
the cutting down on fentanyl obviously is a big deal, and Trump is using all the tools that he's had available to it. Up until now, he's used economic tools to fight terrorism. Or fight fentanyl. Sounds like he's got some more tools now with the he brought the military brass in.
Weapons of mass destruction.
Weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah.
Right. That was no. Like I showed the image with the fentanyl in half. I should have just showed him talking. Everyone behind him was.
I didn't see any of that image. So
it was pretty cool. So this is Scott Bessent talking about fentanyl and how tariffs tie in together.
The SCOTUS decision, Maria, this is really a national security issue. When you think about it, the way President Trump has been able to use his IEPA powers for national security, if the Supreme Court goes the other way, it will be a loss for the American people. That President Trump, look at the drop in fentanyl deaths because President Trump was able to put fentanyl tariffs on China, Mexico, Canada. We have seen a substantial drop in the deaths. China is cooperating on fentanyl for the first time in more than a decade. When China attempted to put an export control on rare earth magnets, President Trump said he put on 100% tariff, and they immediately came to the table. That we are rebalancing trade, and this year, for the calendar year, we are going to shrink the deficit by several $100 billion. So economic security is national security. So this ruling is really a national security ruling. And if they rule against the administration, they will be ruling against national security.
And if you look at what has happened to the United States really over the last 30 years, go all the way back to the fall of the Berlin Wall, when we no longer had the enemy to fight and we became the hegemonic power. Right. Well, if you go back at that moment and you start plotting things out on a chart, right? Increase in social benefits, extra spending, really embarrassing the White House with Bill Clinton. That was a big deal. The Monica Lewinsky scandal internationally, that was like a big deal. Like it really discredited the White House, and it made other world leaders look at the United States as kind of a joke. Okay? Like it was a bigger deal than sometimes we let on. History will tell that story. There's a lot of leaders around the world that are like, we don't take them seriously anymore, because the facade of Bill Clinton having been this, picked himself up from the bootstraps, orphan, broken, right? So you go through, but you plot the policy decisions. You plot, you start looking at all the different scandals, and you get into 9/11 and you just plot it all along, and you think, if you were to destroy a nation that was the hegemonic power of the world that you couldn't defeat on a battlefield, how would you do it? If you were to map that out, it pretty much is going to describe the last 30 years. All the things you had to do to destabilize the world. Now, there were some seeds planted. Obviously, the communists had infiltrated education and these different things, but they took those seeds and they just watered them. Yeah, no conservatives in the university. Let's do that for 60 years and see where we go. Yeah, let's get, all of our politicians bought off and insider stock trading. Yeah, let's see where that takes us.
Let's take God out of everything.
Let's do a crime bill that devastates the inner community and destroys the black family, and then we're going to add meth to it. Now we're going to destroy inner cities. Right. And it's like, oh, and by the way, your own government is trafficking drugs. Okay. So you map it all out, and you're like, whoa, we were really invaded by a mind virus at the very least. But if anything else, it was by all the foreign actors that got involved with this, which more and more were, slowly but surely being revealed. Now, Marco Rubio, Donald Trump, everybody, they are building a coalition around the world of leaders who want to fight this right? They want to fight whatever it is that's really destroying our, not America's sovereignty, but sovereignty of other nations around the world. Yesterday, Paraguay and the United States signed a very important cooperation agreement. And this was on the backdrop of declaring fentanyl a weapon of mass destruction. So when you pair all this stuff up and you look at these agreements, because it's a weapon of mass destruction, that gives the military a lot of authority and a lot of capability to go in and partner with these nations and provide resources to fight it.
Status of Forces Agreement. It demonstrates our shared commitment to security, regional security. The biggest threat in the Western Hemisphere that we face is the threat of transnational criminals networks, transnational terrorist networks. We've said this, if you see it in our in the document we put out just about 10 days ago in our national security strategy. If you look at the fundamental problem in the hemisphere, the most serious problem we have in our hemisphere is these transnational terrorist organizations who are not ideologically terrorists in many cases, but are financial and economic in their basis, but nonetheless are operating as terrorist organizations and threaten the stability and security of the region. It's a problem we see in multiple places, and we need strong partners to confront them. We need strong partners in the region that understand that that's the biggest threat in our hemisphere and are committed to working with us to confronting it. And we can do it in a way that also respects the sovereignty of our partner nations. So what we signed today is a status of forces agreement that allows us to formalize a partnership that already exists and that we want to build upon, that allows us to train together, that allows us to advance the transfer of equipment that they need for their own security, that allow us to share intelligence in real time, that allow us to operate together when necessary. And in the case of any contingencies, by the way, this includes having an opportunity to very quickly partner on humanitarian responses, be it to natural disasters or anything else. So we're excited for the ability to do this today. Paraguay is among our strongest allies in the world, but certainly in the region. And we want to continue to find concrete ways to work together and operate together. And by the way, this extends beyond the security realm. This is not just a security matter. This agreement is about security, but we also want to extend and expand our cooperation on the economic front. There's a lot of good things, positive things happening in Paraguay, tremendous potential to make Paraguay a richer country and do so in partnership with American economic interests in a way that further binds our two countries together and makes us stronger. So we're very grateful for that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like right now, in South America, you've got Lula in Brazil, who Lula is a bad news bears, real bad news bears. And they're kind of trying to figure out, they're kind of surrounding them. You've got Argentina and now Paraguay and, Chile over here. And we're going to get Venezuela. It's happening. It's like they're kind of pinning that in. Just so you know, Brazil exclusively votes on Dominion voting machines. Exclusively. No paper ballots or anything. It's just go in, hit the buttons.
Hit all the buttons you want. You can smash them like
In fact, you don't even need to show up. We'll just vote for you. Algorithm's preset.
And if you get 3 things in a row, jackpot.
Now, Elon Musk had this to say about school indoctrination. And I think, again, there's so many things that sometimes, every day I say, sometimes I hate these kind of negative topics, but it has to do with perspective. We just have to see with clear eyes, right? Public education is a struggle. Why? Because it doesn't teach you anything really valuable. Elon Musk used this as an example.
The amount of indoctrination that's happening in schools and universities is, I think, far beyond what parents realize. Let me give you an example that a friend of mine told me, which his daughters go to high school in the Bay Area, and he was asking them, like, who are the first few presidents of the United States? They could name Washington, and I said, well, what do you know about him? Well, he was a slave owner. What else?
Right.
Exactly. Nothing.
Right.
Like, okay, that's maybe you should know more than that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Slavery is obviously a horrific institution, but we should still know more about George Washington than that. The amount of indoctrination.
When I went to the George Washington's house in Mount Vernon, I was surprised at how much they talked to us about slavery. It's like, hey, man, we get it. Like, it's okay. Because of this guy, we eventually got rid of the institution. Like, it's all right. Like, not everything can be fixed in one generation. You know what I mean? And I think that's one of the things that we have to recognize with Donald Trump. Like, a lot of these problems, he ain't going to fix them all. He's just changing the trajectory so that we can fix them down the road. He's giving you and I, Ron, the tools to be able to have an election that matters, that our campaigning will actually make a difference, that when we go out and volunteer and door knock, that the results will bear fruit in the ballot box, right? And then we can change policy. He's just trying to rebuild the dam and stop the bleeding, right? So this is incredibly important, because while we're fighting all these international monsters, we have domestic monsters as well. Now, this is arrests that they thwarted a terror plot in LA. And this is basically college kids that were planning a bombing in LA. Now, there's allegations that there were informants and Whitmer kidnapping plot 3.0, right? I don't care about all that. Whoever's involved with this, they had a mindset that allowed them to be caught up in it.
Defendants are Audrey Carroll, 30 years old. The pictures, I think we have them.
So 30 years old, not that old. just probably got out of college, still probably hanging around campus.
Somewhere. We'll put them up here. Audrey Carroll, 30 years old. Zachary Aaron Page, 32. Dante Gaffield, 24. And Tina Lay, 41. Each from the Los Angeles area. Each is charged with conspiracy and possession of an unregistered destructive device in violation of Title 26, United States Code Section 5861D. We intend to file additional charges in the coming weeks as we finish reviewing the evidence. The defendants are all radical anti-government members of the Turtle Island Liberation Front, which, according to their own social media, is an anti-capitalist, anti-government movement that calls for their associates to rise up and fight back against capitalism. One of the leaders of the organization, defendant Audrey Carroll, helped organize an even more radical faction of the group called the Order of the Black Lotus. Each of the defendants charged today was also a member of the Order of the Black Lotus. Carroll described this group to her co-conspirators as everything radical. As detailed in the federal complaint, which we will now make public, in November 2025, defendant Carroll created a detailed bombing plot to use explosive devices to attack 5 or more locations across Southern California on this upcoming New Year's Eve. Carroll and her co-defendant Zachary Page led the effort to obtain and build the bombs and to recruit others to join in their plot. Carroll's bomb plot was explicit. It included a step-by-step instructions to build IEDs or improvised explosive devices and listed multiple targets across Orange County and Los Angeles. Carroll also made clear her desires. She said, quote, "What we are doing will be considered a terrorist act." Carroll and Page also discussed plans for follow-up attacks after their bombings, which included plans to target ICE agents and vehicles with pipe bombs. Carroll's,
in my opinion, where did this start? Believing George Washington was nothing other than a slave owner. Right? You got an ad?
Yeah.
Go for it.
Let's do it.
Oh, no.
What? What's that?
Refresh. Don't anybody go away. We need every listener to hear this ad. Otherwise, they won't let us read it.
Good. Come on, man.
Come on. That was an ad for steak. That was going to be a good one.
I know. Shoot.
All right. Well, you pull that up. There's one other. This is a sad story. This is local. This is Bellevue, just across the sound from us.
I got it.
You got it? All right. Go for it.
Still scrambling for a Christmas gift? Well, many shipping deadlines have already passed. Here's your lifeline. Chicago Steak Company. Head to mychicagosteak.com/rumble. Code rumble. They're still shipping for Christmas, and shipping is free. Hurry through. Those slots are filling up fast. Gift your loved ones up to 2% off beef and gift your loved ones one of the top 2% of beef in America. USDA Prime and Premium Angus, hand cut by master butchers, marbling so good that it hits a hot pan and fills the whole house. That buttery meat goodness, you know the one. Spend $229 and they'll throw in 6 free ribeyes plus free shipping. $240 in premium steak on the house. Your gift shows up in a black and gold box packed with dry ice. They crack it open, vapor rolls out, instant Christmas morning feel. Skip the sweater. Give them something they'll actually remember. mychicagosteak.com/rumble. Code rumble. RUMBLE.
Wow. Ooh, that sounds tasty.
Yeah. Buttery.
Okay, so this is a little bit of a sad story. This is local here, Bellevue. Not something you would expect in Bellevue.
We are following some breaking news out of Bellevue right now. A man is now charged with stabbing a police officer before another officer shot him. This happened at the Bellevue Transit Station, you'll recall, on Friday. Court documents say that Mohammed Bangura made a false 911 call about domestic violence to lure officers there. Police say that he slashed an officer's face with a knife and then stabbed him twice in the back. Ugh. And that's when police say another officer shot Bangura. Both were taken to the hospital and both are expected to recover.
So
is this
one of the
a
things,
suicide by cop?
He's a Muslim man.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Well.
So this was a trap, right? Brought him in order to do this. Now, we show a lot of city pictures and a lot of things that you see in the cities, and American urban areas are decaying.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like unless Trump sent the military in, they're pretty dirty. Bellevue's not that city.
No, Bellevue's a lot of money.
Seattle and Bellevue are one city separated by Lake Washington with a bridge in between. Okay, 2 bridges. Okay.
Yep.
Seattle is Old Town. It's got the urban decay that you would normally see.
The detritus.
Bellevue is where Bill Gates lives,
Yes.
and where Amazon's based, and
it's a beacon on the hill.
It is a beacon on the hill. It is a very clean city.
Posh.
It is a very rich city.
Yes.
It is hoity-toity to the max. Okay.
Yep.
So if you notice here, this is the transit center. Do you see a single piece of trash on the ground?
Bubblegum. Is there even any spit?
Is there even none? This is a different city. Okay. So I'm pointing this out that even in areas like Bellevue, which pride themselves on being clean and basically having the city council is essentially the most, biggest HOA you'll ever meet. Okay. With a lot of Karens on it. It doesn't exempt you from Islamic terror and from people who do this kind of stuff. When you send your kids off to college and they get indoctrinated into believing that George Washington was a slave owner and nothing else, and that everything downstream from that has to be bad, you're going to get kids involved in Black Lotus terror groups and things like that. So, okay, guys, I have an interesting story. We've got some really great news that's happening. Maybe we should do the good news in the beginning. I don't know. Yeah. Well, yeah, maybe we should. So we're going to jump over into the private now. We're going to be talking about, again, great news. Walmart getting rid of artificial dyes. We're going to be talking about farmers getting these bailout loans early, which apparently there's a significant statistic of farmers that are not going to be filing Chapter 11 this year. Oh. This is like a last second bailout that they've been years and years and years, and this was it. They hit the end of the line, Trump's first term, and he's able to bail them out. That's a big deal. And we're going to talk a little bit about blue slips, and Mark Wayne Mullins has flipped on the filibuster topic. But before we jump into the private, I just want to read you or share with you a really interesting headline that I saw.
Okay.
There's an assumption. We're peasants, right? The family value thing, we've kind of got this culture where, get married, have a handful of kids, raise them, it'll be great. Apparently, in China, that ain't necessarily the case. Chinese billionaires having dozens of U.S.-born babies via surrogate. In a closed Los Angeles courtroom, something wasn't right. Clerks working for family court judge Amy Pellman were reviewing routine surrogacy positions when they spotted an unusual pattern. The same name, again and again. A Chinese billionaire was seeking parental rights to at least 4 unborn children, and the court's additional research showed that he had already fathered or was in the process of fathering at least 8 more. All through surrogates. When Pellman called Zhu Bo in for a confidential hearing in the summer of 2023, he never entered the courtroom, according to people who attended the hearing. The maker of fantasy video games lived in China and appeared via video, speaking through an interpreter. He said he hoped to have 20 or so U.S.-born children through surrogacy, boys because they're superior to girls, one day to take over his business. Several of his kids were being raised by nannies in nearby Irving as they waited paperwork to travel to China. He hadn't yet met them, he told the judge, because he had been too busy with work. Pellman was alarmed, according to people who attended the hearing. Surrogacy was a tool to help people build families, but what Zhu was describing didn't seem like parenting, he said. The judge denied his request for parentage, normally quickly approved for the intended parents of a baby born through surrogacy. Experts say the decision left the children he'd paid for to be born in legal limbo. The court declined to comment on the Zhu case. The Zhu, an online mega poster but real-life recluse, has rarely spoken with reporters and hasn't been photographed in public for nearly a decade. Representative Zhu's company, blah, blah, blah. So it goes on to say here, apparently this is a huge trend. Some Chinese parents, inspired by Elon Musk's 14 known children, pay millions in surrogacy fees to hire women to help them build families of jaw-dropping size. Zhu himself calls himself China's first father, is known in China as a vocal critic of feminism. On social media, his company said he has more than 100 children born through surrogacy in the U.S. Another wealthy Chinese executive, Wang Huiyu, hired U.S. models and others as egg donors and have 10 girls with the aim of one day marrying them off to powerful men, according to people close to the executive's company. This is MSN, by the way, reporting this. Okay. Other Chinese clients usually seeking more typical numbers of babies are high-powered executives lacking time and inclination to bear their own children. The market has grown so sophisticated, as experts say, that at times Chinese parents have had U.S.-born children without stepping foot in the country. A thriving mini industry of American surrogacy agencies, law firms, and clinics delivering agencies and nanny services, even to pick up newborns from hospitals, has risen to accommodate the demand, permitting parents to ship their genetic material abroad and get a baby delivered back at the cost of $200,000 per child. The growing Asian market for international fertility service has drawn attention of American investors, including Peter Thiel, whose family office is hacked via was backed by a chain of IVF clinics across Southeast Asia and recently opened a branch in Los Angeles. So it goes on to describe the babies born in the U.S. are citizens by virtue of the 14th Amendment. The 2020 department moved, Trump's moving to curb that. So it goes on to say, we're not Costco. The founder and CEO of IVF USA, a network of fertility clinics in the U.S. and Mexico that cater to wealthy Chinese and partner with surrogacy agencies, babies brought back to China so basically it helps them fall outside the country's one child policy penal system.
Sure.
And of course you get this nice American citizen that, based on all the welfare benefits you can get because dad's not technically in the picture.
But maybe dad can come visit.
Yeah, anchor babies. So it goes on to describe here. This is actually a really big deal. It's suspected that some of these Chinese oligarchs have thousands of children. Thousands of children.
What are they doing with them?
Marrying them off. Girls for future leaders. The Chinese government usually turns a blind eye to citizens who pursue surrogacy abroad. This is talking about Wang.
I mean, this is almost like it sounds like a rich guy that has a stable full of stallions.
Yeah, that's exactly what this is. That's exactly what this is. Now, I've got this video that I pulled with Elon Musk. Let me actually, it's worth showing. Let me find it real quick. So the article goes on. Basically, this is like a huge deal. I mean, you've got thousands and thousands of kids that are being born via surrogacy to these foreign, billionaires and people like that. Mm-hmm. So let me see if I can quickly find this video of Elon Musk, because when we talk about family,
Elon's got a big family.
He does have a big family. Yeah, he does have a big family. I've got this video of him sitting with his child, and he's telling his kid it's time to go to bed, and his kid's like, I'm not going to bed. And he's like, well, I gotta go to bed. And he's like, you don't go to bed. And he's like, yeah, I do. It's cute. It's a genuine father, right? Father knows father. Like, when you see someone with that kind of, in Portuguese, the word was carinho, like that kind of amizade. That's the other Portuguese word. Sometimes Portuguese words make more sense in my mind, but that real emotional connection to a kid, even just a little child, and laughing about, well, I don't want to go to bed, Dad. Well, we all have to go to bed, It's so cute. That is absent from some of these surrogate parents. You know what I mean? Oh no, I'm just trying to raise an army. I'm just trying to marry off all my daughters to rich people to have longer influence. So I want 100 kids to take over my business. You know what I mean? Like, right. Wow. Anyways, big deal. All right, guys, it's time for us to jump over to private, and then we were going to hear some great news about Maha and, blue slips and all that kind of stuff. So we'll talk to you guys tomorrow. And of course, you can cheat if you want to hear this and you don't have Rumble premium. You can go listen to it on one of the audio players. Talk to you again tomorrow.